welcome to the CTS project. My name is Roman Berenblyum. I'm working at Norse in Norway, and I'm coordinating this project. So my role for today is just to give a general overview of what we're planning to work with. And again, since this is just the beginning, we would be very happy to hear the feedback from you as the audience on what you think. So the first three questions that any project team has to sort of answer itself when we start not even working with a project but writing as a project is first why we want to do this. And looking on the current situation, we see that there is a large costs and there's a very high complexity of the current status of CCS value chains. And that essentially means that specifically for the small industries, there's a very big sort of ticket price to pay to get into the CCS. And then for several years back, we started working with an MO with this concept of transport and injection directly from the ship. And it's for me personally, it's very, very interesting to see if that's a solution that can unlock potential and speed up the deployment of the CCS. So how it's going to do this, it's actually creating very decentralized and very flexible, faster to deploy technology. So rather than building this whole infrastructure and linking all of the players together, you essentially have a ship that can in principle connect directly the source and the sink. And we also think that it can create the on-demand CO2 storage market. I will talk a little bit about this flexibility when mentioning some of the scenarios that we are working with. But again, we're still in the fire-up stage. So in order to really evaluate this, we have built a dedicated team. I will talk a little bit about the team later. But essentially our end goal is to design and evaluate the CCS value chain in 4 geographical regions. So if you look on the map, we're talking about the Baltics, we're talking about the North Sea, we're talking about the Portugal Atlantic coast, and we talk about the northwest part of the Black Sea. And you can see that very quickly that all of these regions are very different in terms of development of the CCS, in terms of marine conditions, the geology, geography, everything. So it would be very interesting to really see how it all works. So we're 11 partners, we're in the 5 countries. The project would last around 2 years, till the end of 2025 roughly. And the total project budget is around 2 million euro. It's sponsored through the CTP program. So us in Norse, we coordinate the project, Nemo Maritime, also in Norway, Shog Energy in Estonia, University of Évora in Portugal, and Geoecomar in Romania are the project coordinators. And then we have a partners also Wellperform from Denmark, Brevik Engineering also from Norway, DTU Denmark, and Naftogaz Ukraine from Ukraine. And those eagle-eyed of you would very quickly notice that I said 11 partners and I have only 9 logos. The reason for this, we have 2 independent consultants from Ukraine that are working with us as well. So hence we're 11 and 5 countries. Okay, so I'm not going to dwell into this. The only reason I'm showing this is that we intend on having lots of the discussions with general community, like yourselves joining physically or online. Now we are in the beginning of the project in Brussels. You can expect to hear from us from Baltic CCS Forum in sort of September, October this year. This would be our next consortium meeting and the next webinar like this. We then going in spring 25 to Portugal, in autumn 25 to Romania, and finishing with a bang in for the brave, those of you who want to travel to Norway in the winter. We will pick up a good location. So this is roughly the calendar that we're going to be working with. As in any projects, we have divided the work between a number of the work packages, and then as in any other project, those work packages are of course very closely linked to one another. So what we're starting with now is to develop the criteria and also create or update the scenarios. So first is again to develop the criteria of which of the emission points and which of the sink points that we should focus on as a project. We will then gather the required data and build or update the scenarios. I will talk a little bit more about it, but again, our scenarios are at a very different readiness level, if you want to put it that way. And then we will analyze our value chains in the different geographical areas, see how the direct injection from ship compared to existing technologies or create new opportunities. We have a work package dedicated specifically to, let's say, the areas that has the highest TRL at the moment. That's Norway and Portugal, going more towards sort of a pilot development plans. We have a work package 5, which is an end user engagement. This is basically what is happening now. But we will also do stakeholder mapping and stakeholder club meetings. We want really to engage the industry in all of these different regions and make sure that we are as updated on the industrial plans in different regions as possible. And of course, the work package that is a coordination and again dissemination. That's what we're doing now. Echo. Yeah. So scenarios. I will go very quickly through these through the areas that we're working with. North Sea, that combines Denmark and Norway, 2 areas in Europe with a lot of very fast and very active development in the CCS. And that's one of the scenarios that is not really written in the stone for us yet. This is something that we have been actively discussing during the last day and a half and working on, and we see a lot of interesting possibilities for us on, for example, connecting ports in say France or in northern parts of the Europe and really do this transport of the CO2 to Norway and Denmark. I'm showing here 2 maps, the maps of the sources and the sinks identified in Denmark, and I'm also showing here one of the areas in the North Sea, actually here on the southwest of Norway, that was part of the license round 2 in the end of 2022. So that's the actually area that is licensed for the CO2 storage for the companies in Norway now, and it fits very well the part of the map that we're working with. But you can also see that the Baltics is really close, and this is the second area, therefore, that I want to really talk about. And there is one scenario that has been developed for the clinker project, for example, where there's a storage here in the structure E6, and then combining the emissions from the different points in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. We are reviewing and changing this scenario. We would probably focus mostly on the emitters that are around the ports rather than those that are further away. But one of the things that we have been discussing for a period of time is that we can expect a situation when, for example, the capture side of the value chain in the Baltics develops faster than the storage legislation. For example, it's not allowed. There's no legislation for storing the CO2 in that area yet. And in this case, ships becoming a very interesting and feasible solution to allow those working on the capture to actually start capturing, transporting the CO2 maybe a little bit further down the line towards the North Sea, while the storage capacity in the Baltics developing. So there are different options that we can be looking at the project, but as you can see on the map from the right, it's a vast area that has many different countries. And if you would really put all of the emitters around the coastline, it's going to be full with the dots all around in Sweden and Finland and Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Denmark, Germany. So lots of good opportunities there. Okay, moving south in Europe. I'm not going to be talking much about the Portuguese scenario. We have a known presentation later on by Julio. But I just wanted to say that this is the scenario that we have started working together in the Strategy CCS project in the midst of the COVID, which was fun in itself. And then the development of this concept continued through the pilot strategy project, and then some of the aspects would be also then now addressed in the CTS. All right, moving on to the Black Sea. Again, starting with the picture on the right, we have a scenario from Strategy CCS for Romania that actually had 2 clusters in it. The onshore cluster, more to the west of the country, and the cluster incorporating offshore storage to the east. Our current plan is that we will focus on the eastern cluster to begin with. Of course, the cluster and then information on the emissions and the economical parameters needs to be updated. It has been a while since we looked on the strategy CCS. But we're also looking on the possibilities in the western Ukraine, both in terms of the capture and in terms of the storage in the Black Sea. You can see that this is basically the area and the common border between Romania and Ukraine. There is a very interesting developments happening also in Bulgaria, and we have been working in the previous projects with Turkey as well. So we will see if we can really cover sort of the whole western part of the Black Sea. We will see how this scenario develops. It's early to say now. So follow up the next meetings when we're going to be working with it. Finally, before I conclude my talk, it's very important for us. I mentioned in the work package 5 is to build a very good end user club, and we wrote as early as the project proposal that it is fundamental for us to establish a tight dialogue both with the emitters and the field operators as the future beneficiaries of the technology. It's sort of easier for us as researchers and scientists to sit in our office and imagine the dream scenarios and how this CO2 would be captured and transported and injected, but it is really vital for us to know what your, as the industry, plans are. How do you see your emissions changing, developing as the time goes? What are the thoughts and plans of the operators, so that we can really develop the realistic plans and not the dream scenarios, and be as close to the reality as possible. So all of the local partners would be contacting their local industries in the regions and building up this end user club. Many of you are already online in this meeting, and I was very happy to see more than, I think, 40 people signed in from all of the different locations. We also have, I'm not sure, I don't see the list on my screen, but we went as far as internationally, I think, is Bangladesh, so lots of interest to what we're doing. But also a lot of interest specifically in the Baltics region. I think it seems to be one of the very actively developing now in Europe from the point of view of the interest and the focus, specifically also to the offshore storage. Again, so just to wrap up, we are funded by the SET partnership, the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, in the first round of the project proposals. So thank you very much for all of these, for all of the financial agencies in 4 different countries that support our activities.